So for our lovely Miss M, I wanted to work a little bit again with that doorway and then practicing holding something, because I know I had mentioned in some of the other videos that they had been having trouble as their daughter comes in, but also holding the baby car seat, that it's been hard for her to have the pup not be jumping or going after the car seat with an excitable moment. So what I want to try and do is I'm going to do a little step out here. I'm going to grab something that I can then hold as if it is something similar and then work her that way. So don't mind me being out of camera range for just a moment. I'm just going to go grab my thing. So, and there she is watching me. So obviously, let's pretend, again, we wouldn't have this half door like I mentioned earlier. Your daughter would be coming in. She might knock. She might just walk in. So I've got the item on my arm here, which could seem exciting. And you'd want to have, again, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, is have some of those treat stations where as you're entering the environment, oh, I dropped one, but as you're entering the environment, you go right to the puppy's nose, right into a find it. So the benefit of this is then as you're coming in and your other arm is occupied, I know that maybe your daughter won't have a treat pouch on her, but you might have like a treat station by the door or in the kitchen and work her that way. Yes, Hippo? Oh, okay. My little one says that she needs some assistance. So I'm going to help her in just a second. So now we have, again, this funny item, and I'm just constantly getting my lady to do a little bit where she comes into my bubble and we go into a little find it. So I know that in the beginning, these find it's become our dance moves to kind of help our puppies when they don't quite know what to do instead. And I know I feel a little bit silly rocking this funny little bag, but it's, again, to create that distraction where there could be something in your arm and then create this moment where then she could work a few other little skills. So we get a little sit from our little lady. If, again, remember how we mentioned stationary positions are very hard for your pup, start off first with some find its, get her to move in and out of the space. And then that can be very helpful too. But practicing with, again, I know it's not a really, little baby setup, but remember that sometimes even the in-between practice is going to be really crucial. So if you, again, didn't know how to drive a car, we're not going to go right into the, F1 Formula race car and go for a little drive and see how it goes. We're going to start off probably in a parking lot with a much softer and easier vehicle. So same thing with her is if, let's say, this is really hard for her, certain things are triggering with excitement, we want to get her to think that novelty equals either check in, be able to disengage, or ask for other behaviors instead. So we could get a little sit from our little lady. Yes. We could get her to go and practice targeting. So you can, again, try to replace behavior you're not a huge fan with other skills instead. So I know funny little bag supposed to represent that lovely car seat that you're holding. If, again, she's interested, I like to go and do a little find it. So I'm helping her choose a better response than the original, which would have been to bombard the person or the novel item. So you will want to do this several times. So you'd practice coming in and out of the environment. Let's say doorways are, again, something that gets her excited. You just kind of walk in, go right into that, and you might redirect onto a better option. She's like, I guess I'll go find the snacks. So this way, again, the entry zone or this novel thing is not the thing that brings a lot of wiggling and jumping and jostling. So 1 second, I'll be right there. So as my little lady's practicing, again, I know this is not the real item. I'm just going to plop it off to the side, but it's getting her to see how to do it before you need it. So remember, a lot of practice for your boys and girls will consist of rehearsing the skill you would rather, but before you need it. So if, let's say, she's really given you a hard time, again, she's having a hard time. So make sure for lovely Miss M that if there are certain things that are, again, out of her comfort range or out of her understanding, we don't let her fail by doing the thing we don't like. If she's getting more fluid, more cozy, you could feed for softness. You could feed for all four on the floor. So all four on the floor. There we go. Or you could also ask for behaviors that are non-conducive to doing two things at once. So if I were to ask her for a sit, it's very hard to be jumping. She's like, I'll just moonwalk. It's very hard for your puppy to be jumping if they're stuck in a sit position. So remember that sometimes it's replacing things you don't love with things you would prefer. Oh, I know, that darn harness. So too, remember I mentioned, like, if you find she is a little bit unsure about equipment, we may find that a Y-shaped harness that, again, is a little bit bigger. This one, again, fits her okay, but it's at the very edge of the measuring point, which is what I mentioned prior. So we want to make sure for Miss M that the appropriate gear is on, so it's not creating more discomfort while she's also practicing. But she did a really great job with a lot of these behaviors and setups. So I'd say try to practice again before you need it, not in the moment. And that's going to be really helpful for her to change that response. But nice job, Miss M.